Southern California, good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Today we have ourselves another jam-packed show as we have quite a bit to get into in terms of the world of Southern California sports, such as the Padres are sadly eliminated as they fell to the Phillies in 5 games. The team of destiny is the Phillies and not the Padres. Sad and unfortunate, but they had a good run. And Wave FC sadly lost over the weekend as they lost to the Portland Thorns. Got the early lead, but then allowed 2 goals, which eventually turned out to being the go-ahead goal in extra time. Sad, sad, sad. And then the Chargers sadly lost to the Seahawks, as we had a lot of losses in Southern California this past Sunday, as the Lakers lost, the Clippers lost on Sunday, but we have a lot to be proud of, as LAFC, there was some good news. LAFC won last Thursday over the LA Galaxy as they are in the Western Conference Finals. Can they pull off the win over Austin? All that and more here on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. This is Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And welcome all to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you all for joining me on this beautiful Friday afternoon, Friday morning, Friday wherever you are listening from. Either way, you have made it to episode 110 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Without any further delay, let's get on into it. But first and foremost, before we dive on into the SoCal sports action, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show would not be where it's at without IE Sports Radio. You can find them on several different social media platforms, such as Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at IE Sports Radio. They're also available on Facebook at IE Sports Radio as well. In addition, IE Sports Radio has a website, www.iesportsradio.com, and when you go there, you will see a Patreon link at the top, which starts at $5 a month. This will get you a shout-out from all of our amazing shows, including this one. And higher tiers include IE Sports Radio merchandise, access to ISRU, the podcasting university of IE Sports Radio, and even a chance to be featured on a segment of our flagship show, The Defining Moment with Larry B. Because for the past 8 years and counting, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. All the while, we've been continuing to be by the fans and for the fans. With your help, we are ready to take the next biggest step. Thank you to everyone for all of your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that sports. Shout out to our Patreon supporters, Bay Area Raised Apparel, Marcus Los Great, Key to the Gate, and a donor that wishes to remain anonymous. All right, now let's get on into the SoCal sports action. So we obviously have to start off with the NFL, just because NFL is king. So the Rams had a bye, and we'll be getting on into them in a little bit. But we have to talk the Chargers. So after coming off of a dramatic 19-16 win over the Denver Broncos, they had somewhat of a quick turnaround as they took on the Seattle Seahawks, and it was not pretty. So it was looking like it was going to be promising with the Chargers recording an interception off of a deflected pass from Asante Samuel Jr. and recovered by, or picked off by Murray. It wound up being a complete dumpster fire as the Chargers on that drive, they had great field position. they were faced with the 4th and 1, but they just couldn't punch it in. And it was so obvious they would run it with Austin Eckler. I understand you don't want to throw the ball early, but you have other ways to get a first down. You could probably try reverse or jet sweep or anything of that sort, but you can't go with the obvious choice of Eckler trying to run it for the first down. And that eventually led to the Chargers turning it over on downs, and it led to the Seahawks scoring their first touchdown, courtesy of I think it was Marquise Goodwin that scored the first touchdown, as you'll be hearing a little bit more about him later. So already the Chargers are down 7-0. Then the next Chargers drive, they got picked off, as Herbert, I think, threw it. I wouldn't say it was into double coverage, but he just threw it right into the defender's hands, and he got picked off. And then eventually that turned into 3 points, if I'm not mistaken, as the Chargers eventually held their own. And it was also the next Seahawks drive that saw DK Metcalf get hurt, as he was out for the remainder of the game with a knee injury. Thankfully, it's not anything serious. So, Seahawks are up 10-0. Then on the next Chargers drive, Justin Herbert unfortunately got the ball knocked out, as if it weren't for him making the tackle, that would have easily been a defensive touchdown. So, already, and then eventually the Chargers went down in... Wait a minute, hold on. I think I'm not reading this. I'm just remembering off the top of my head. But I do remember they also scored another touchdown as Kenneth Walker rumbled on in for the score, and it was 17-0. Like, the Chargers cannot fall behind 17-0. And here's the not so good fun fact about the Chargers in the first quarter. In the first quarter, in their past 3 games, the Chargers have been outscored 41-3. 41-3 against the Browns, Broncos, and Seahawks. That is not going to get it done. And and here's the thing. They fell behind 14-0 to the Browns. They eventually won that one barely. They eventually fell behind 10-0 against the Broncos. They won that one by a gift from the special teams gods. But this one, let's just say it was a little different. So, Chargers are down 17-0. They eventually get their first touchdown, as I think it was Austin Eckler that rumbled into the end zone. Either way, he rumbled on in for 6 points. And then on the Seahawks' next drive, they fumbled the ball as Geno Smith was about to pitch the ball out to Kenneth Walker. And then he fumbled it, and thankfully it was recovered by Khalil Mack. And then eventually the Chargers' next drive saw Mike Williams scoring the touchdown. So all the momentum is starting to look like it's with the Chargers, right? Well, on this next Seahawks drive, Kenneth Walker started gashing the Chargers' very bad run defense. And then Geno Smith decided to take a shot toward the end zone as he hit Marquise Goodwin again for the score. And this is where I think it went all to living HE double hockey sticks, as obviously Marquise Goodwin caught the touchdown, but on that play, J.C. Jackson slipped and tore his ACL, and I think he had a little bit of a meniscus tear, as it was a non-football contact injury, as he basically just slipped, and unfortunately that was that for him. It was ruled that he had a torn ACL, and it is season ending, so unfortunately J.C. Jackson is out for the season. So, oh my goodness. The injuries can't seem to get much more worse for the Chargers, can it? I don't even want to answer that. Actually, as a matter of fact, it actually does get worse later on in the game. So eventually the Chargers are down 24-14. Their offense is so dry and sputtery. Let's fast forward to the fourth quarter. So the Chargers are basically down quite a bit as Justin Herbert hits Mike Williams with the pass. It almost looks like Williams catches it, but he just could not hold on. And the worst part is that not only did the Chargers turn it over on downs, but Mike Williams' ankle gets bent. He catches it, but then his ankle gets kind of twisted, not by the opponent, but kind of by himself because he got tangled up with the defender. And then he's out, and if you saw that ankle injury, It was not pretty. It's like, oh, if you're squeamish, don't watch the Mike Williams ankle injury. It was then ruled that Mike Williams is now out for 4 weeks, so he's on IR, basically. So, in the end, the Chargers, they just simply had no answer for the Seahawks. Every time they tried to get momentum, the Seahawks would take it back. And Kenneth Walker is a fantastic running back one. I mean, obviously they don't have Rashad Penny, but he has just done wonders for their run game. And Geno Smith has been quite amazing. And I like what he said in the post-game interview. He basically said, well, he gave his props to the Chargers. He said, that's a great team over there. The Chargers are going to do great things. I got to tip my hat over to him. Like, for him to say that is just amazing. And the Chargers are so much better than 4-3 just because they're just so banged up. I get it. Every other team is banged up, but this is the most concerning just because the Chargers had so many high expectations, and that unfortunately they sadly are not meeting them because of injuries and everything else whatnot. So, unfortunately for the Chargers, they do have their bye, but they lost to the Seahawks in ugly fashion. It was pretty much over by the end of the first quarter. Like, when you're down 17-0, you basically are digging your own grave. And I know the Chargers tried to get some momentum back, but I think all the momentum left when J.C. Jackson got hurt. And that was basically the gut punch right there. So, for the Chargers, it's a bad loss. I wouldn't say it's a bad loss, just because I think the Seahawks are vastly underrated. And ironically enough, the Seahawks are leading the division, which is quite nice. Well, NFC West, which I guess is okay. Well, unless you're not a Seahawks fan, but for the Chargers, you're now more banged up than ever, as Chris Rumph is also injured, one of their edge rushers. It's already bad enough that the Chargers are without Joey Bosa, so I think Chris Rumph is out for a while as well. So the Chargers did make the move of signing Jeremiah Atauchu, which that's understandable, and he does have experience with the Chargers, and he's only like 29, so I think that's an okay signing. I guess with their situation at edge rusher, they need to have Jeremiah Atauchu. But overall, the Chargers really need to get healthy. I'm hoping Keenan Allen gets back to full strength by the time the bye week is over, just because the Chargers do have the bye this week, and they kind of need it, just because now they have to get their minds right, because second half of their schedule is not going to be easy. It starts with the Falcons, which are drastically improved. Then they have at the Niners. And I think I want to say they're home against the Chiefs, I want to say. I don't have their schedule pulled up, but I want to say they have 2 away games at Atlanta and then at San Francisco. Then they're back home against Kansas City. Then they've got the Cardinals and the Raiders. And then they have the Dolphins, the Titans, the Colts, the Rams, and then they close out the season at Denver. So that's quite the tough gauntlet there. And I know the Broncos aren't as good, but if they start figuring out their offense, then that's going to be something scary, just because the Broncos defense is pretty good. And then we don't know about the Rams, just because the Rams, they're kind of in a little bit of an identity crisis of their own, with injuries from their offensive line, just as bad as the Chargers' offensive line. But at least the Chargers have Corey Linsley, and Jamari Salyer. And then I think the Raiders are starting to get back, pick up some steam as well. And then, obviously, the Chiefs are the Chiefs. The Niners, I think the Niners are going to be just as tricky of a matchup, just because that defense is pretty good. And then the Falcons, their up-and-coming match against the Falcons isn't going to be easy. Even though their quarterback is Marcus Mariota, I mean, the Chargers nearly lost him when he had to fill in for Derek Carr a couple seasons ago. So, for the Chargers, they basically need to get healthy. Keenan Allen needs to get back to 100%. And everyone else is just going to have to step up. I mean, obviously, no Joey Bosa, now no J.C. Jackson, no Mike Williams. Jalen Guyton's out for the season. They need to get Joshua Palmer back and Joshua Kelly back. Kelly, I think, has done amazing at the running back 2 position. I think he's, for all the slander I've given Joshua Kelly, I think he has gone above and, I wouldn't say above and beyond, but I think he's done extremely well as the running back 2 behind Austin Eckler. Like, it just can't be the Austin Eckler show. It's got to be, like, Joshua Kelly, and then Sony Michel has done decent, but it's like, I don't know. I feel the signing of him might not have been worth it, so, oh well. And then, yeah, I said Joshua Palmer needs to come back. DeAndre Carter is looking more like the wide receiver 3, because I don't know if Michael Bandy's going to be worth it, but if he does decide to get back to his preseason self, then so be it. But I really want to see Keenan Allen back to somewhat full strength. I mean, obviously he's not going to be 100% just because hamstring injuries are very tricky to come back to, but Keenan Allen needs to come back to become Justin Herbert's wide receiver 1, and that's basically the route runner right there. Like, Keenan Allen's the route runner. Mike Williams is the guy, is the big body who basically can make amazing grabs. Jalen Guyton is their speedster who can create separation. And Joshua Kelly's kind of in that same category as Guyton, but it seems like he hasn't really made too many strides as well. But hopefully he will be able to, just because the Chargers did draft him in the 4th round, 3rd or 4th round a couple seasons ago, and they're gonna have to utilize everybody. I mean, again, it just can't be one person. It's got to be everyone else doing. And also, Joe Lombardi needs to have better game planning in terms of his play calls. Like, he needs to mix it up. Why can't he just have Justin Herbert run for the first down himself? Like, I'm seeing all these other quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes and Kyler Murray scramble for first downs. So why can't we see Justin Herbert try to go for the first down? I just don't understand. That's probably the one guy that needs to go in terms of who the Chargers need to clean house with. The Chargers are 4-3, but again, the schedule looks very daunting on paper. Like, on paper, I feel the Chargers can beat the Falcons, but then after that, it gets so much more tougher. So overall, this bye week is kind of what the Chargers need, as it's also what I need, because I don't get to see the Chargers demolish my heart anytime soon. But I digress. So that's going to basically do it for the Chargers portion. Jumping on over to the Rams, they just got done with their bye week, as this week they are playing the San Francisco 49ers at SoFi. Okay, so for the Rams, in order for them to keep any hopes of winning the NFC West alive, they're going to have to beat the Niners. I know it's difficult just because it's the Niners. Jimmy G has gotten the better of the Rams in the regular season, not the postseason though, as it's going to have to, they're basically going to have to give it their all. And I understand the offensive line is practically beaten up to high heaven, but they're going to have to do everything in their power to basically shore up and make sure Matthew Stafford does not get sacked 100,000 times. The good news is for the Rams is that they did designate Van Jefferson to come back from injured reserve. He's not going to play this week, but he is designated to come back, which is good because, well, having another wide receiver is something essential to have, even though it's just Cooper Kupp vacuuming in all of the whatchamacallits, all the receptions, but overall, it's basically a wait and see on who's going to basically going to get that second running back for the Rams, just because the Rams need all they need in terms of their offense. It just cannot be Cooper Kupp. Like Stafford has to get Allen Robinson involved and Tyler Higbee and all those other receivers involved. It just can't be the Cooper Kupp show. As much as I want to see Cooper Kupp just straight up carrying the team and making amazing catch after amazing catch and possibly breaking records, it's not going to work like that. So overall for the Rams, it's going to be tough taking down that defense. In the terms of the best case scenario, last year the Rams jumped out to a big lead, and then unfortunately they led at halftime. I think they led like 21-0 at one point, led 21-7, and eventually just fell apart and lost in overtime. So for the Rams, I have them winning 27-24. I really think they could pull it off. They have to play near-perfect football, but I would not trust Matthew Stafford and the Rams' defense in terms of fantasy football. I would trust the Niners' defense and Jimmy Garoppolo in fantasy football. So it's going to be very tough for the Rams to win, but I'm confident in them. I think they actually have a good shot. Am I 100% confident? Not really, but overall, I think this is their best chance. They're coming off of a bye, and they basically they know how the NFC West is no longer theirs for the taking. They have to deal with the Niners, which are kind of resurged to Jimmy G. The Cardinals, which are still trying to find answers, and then the Seahawks, which are basically no longer the punching bag. Everyone projected them to be a punching bag, but now they are basically the real deal. And Kenneth Walker is him at running back. Geno Smith is him at quarterback. DK Metcalf, once he gets healthy, he's going to do amazing things. And then Tyler Lockett is still up there. So overall for the Rams, they know that the path is not easy to win the NFC West. And with their schedule, it gets tougher as well. That is basically going to do it for the Rams portion and the NFL portion of the show. Let's discuss some college football. So USC was on a bye this past week, which I guess makes their loss a little less painful, could be a little more painful. But USC is back at it this week as they take on Arizona at Arizona. Yeah, the USC better win this one. I want to see a big-time USC win, and they're 15.5-point favorites. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to, well, not benefit of the doubt, but I'm going to give them the win, obviously. They're number 10 in the nation, considering they were on bye. So I got the Trojans winning 15.5-point favorite. Let's go 42-17. That sounds that sounds pretty fair for USC. Like USC, they need to pretty much run the table just because Utah isn't losing anytime soon. Even without Cam Rising, Utah still managed to beat Washington State, which makes all USC fans unhappy and seethe with frustration. Though it was only a 4-point win, despite not having Cam Rising. So this is basically where the Pac-12 race becomes very interesting between USC, Utah, Oregon, and UCLA. Speaking of UCLA, they took their first loss of the season as they just could not keep up with Oregon as they fell 45-30. After it was tied 10-10, Oregon just stepped on the gas as they went up 17-10, eventually went up 24-10, and poor UCLA, they couldn't keep up with Oregon as their offense was just so much more, it was much more effective. Bo Nix threw for 5 touchdowns. 5. And this was the Bo Nix that nearly struggled in a narrow win over Washington State. So for Oregon, this puts them kind of in a better situation as they're now the only undefeated team in Pac-12 play. Notice the words in Pac-12 play, not overall. So looking at Oregon's schedule at a glance, they have some pretty decent. I mean, their next two games were basically, I wouldn't say gimmies, but they're basically games they should win. They should beat Cal and they should beat Colorado. Ugh. But then after they beat Colorado, or after they play Colorado, they've got Washington, which that's a little tricky opponent. I wouldn't say it's a winnable game, but Washington is improved. And then Oregon also plays Utah, and then Oregon closes out the season against an improved Oregon State team. So that's Oregon's path to the playoffs. For UCLA, they have to get up off the mat, because they return back to the Rose Bowl to play Stanford. That was one of my concerns for UCLA, playing in Autzen Stadium. And unfortunately, the 1 week where I actually chose UCLA, they didn't deliver. It's kind of funny. UCLA didn't deliver, or UCLA delivered when I didn't choose them against Washington and Utah, but they didn't deliver when I chose them against Oregon. Go figure. So UCLA's next game is at home against Stanford. Stanford, despite beating Notre Dame, I don't see Stanford beating UCLA. The only way UCLA finds some way to lose is if DTR has the worst game of his life and he goes full Josh Rosen. Josh Rosen in the NFL, of course, but I have UCLA winning this one. There's no doubt in my mind. And you also got to remember, Stanford does not have E.J. Smith. E.J. Smith is out for the remainder of the season, and it sucks because Stanford might have actually been a better team with him. So for Stanford, their running game is kind of suffered a big sling and arrow right there. As I got UCLA winning, I have them winning 35-10. That sounds about right. They're 16.5-point favorites, and I think 35-10 is a respectable score. UCLA follows that up with a matchup against at Arizona State, and then a matchup at home against Arizona. Then they have USC in their big-time matchup, which could possibly decide who goes to the Pac-12 championship and who basically stays home. UCLA and USC, as well as Oregon, have a good shot at making the college football championship. I wouldn't say it's a great chance, but they're kind of the best teams to have that chance. Like Utah, whoever wins between Utah and Oregon will basically be the one that goes off to the Pac-12 championship. Unless, of course, we see some sort of upset with Oregon or Utah. I don't see USC or UCLA losing to the Arizona schools, and I definitely don't see UCLA losing to Cal, and I also don't see USC losing to Colorado, just because they shouldn't. They know that every game is now precious. Oh, and they also play Cal too, so I don't see USC losing to Arizona, Cal, and Colorado. They don't play Arizona. Oh, no, they already played Arizona State. My apologies. So, USC should not lose to Arizona, Cal, and Colorado. Like, Colorado, they have owned throughout the beginning of time in the Pac-12. Cal is not the same without Chase Garbers, and Arizona is young and inexperienced. I mean, Arizona has talent. I'll give him that much. Arizona has a good gob of talent, and they are going to be good in the upcoming years, but I don't think that time is now. And hopefully Jordan Addison's knee is fully healed after the loss to Utah. Like, that was some scary stuff. And hopefully it's not as serious as everyone leads it to be. But overall, I got SC and UCLA winning. Jumping on over to the Mountain West Conference, we have San Diego State versus Fresno State. Okay, so San Diego State actually managed to win by more than one score, as last week they defeated Nevada 23-7. So you're thinking, all right, 23 points. San Diego State finally has their offense together. Oh, not quite. They almost do. They only scored one offensive touchdown. That was basically in the fourth quarter, courtesy of Jalen Maiden, which which is their quarterback. So he basically just tucked it in and ran. So for the first 3 quarters, it was basically defense and special teams. The first score actually came from Southern California product Patrick McMorris. You're probably wondering, why does that last name sound familiar? Patrick is actually the younger brother of former Mater Dei star and Cal star Malik McMorris. So shout out to Patrick McMorris on that 30-yard fumble return touchdown. So good for you, Patrick. And I actually got to see him one time back when he was at Godinez before he transferred off to Santa Ana. So Patrick McMorris scored the defensive touchdown, and then it was basically just field goal in the first quarter, then field goal in the second quarter. San Diego State allowed a touchdown in the second quarter, but that was the only score, and it was basically in the late stages of the second quarter. After that, San Diego State pitched a shutout, which is kind of a breath of fresh air for Aztec fans, as third quarter we saw a field goal from Jack Browning, and then Jalen Maiden had that 32-yard quarterback keeper, which was a touchdown. And then there was no scoring in the fourth quarter. So looking at the numbers, obviously Jalen Maiden didn't have the true passing numbers, but at the same time, he didn't really need to when the defense and special teams were carrying the load. And also, you also have to realize that there was basically more, there was more rushing in terms of that. As well, actually not too much more rushing, as San Diego State, they barely had a little bit more rushing yards than their passing yards. And one thing I liked about San Diego State is that they took away Nevada's run game, which is key right there. That is crucial right there. So this week, San Diego State is hitting the road to Fresno to take on Fresno State. So this is the battle of the oil can right here. Last year, San Diego State lost to the Bulldogs, which made me sad face. This time around, San Diego State is at Fresno State, and they're going to look to try to get that oil can back. And they're also going to look to try to keep their Mountain West Conference hopes alive. Believe it or not, San Diego State, San Jose State, and Fresno State are all 2-1. So realistically, San Diego State actually, hence the word actually, has a chance to still win the Mountain West Division, the Mountain West Western Division, and make it to the Mountain West Conference Championship. I can't believe I'm actually saying that, considering how bad San Diego State is. To do so, however, they have to get past Fresno State, which has a new quarterback after USC kind of did a number on him. Thanks, Jordan Bird. I'm just kidding. As Jake Haener, it looks like Jake Haener might be out for the remainder of the year. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not sure what the status is for Fresno State and their quarterback, Carousel, as their new quarterback is Logan Fife. Logan Fife, as he played in last week's game against University of New Mexico, which Fresno State won in big-time fashion, 41-9. Fresno State's 2-1. Their wins are also their other win is against San Jose State, which was a 17-10 win. Fresno State's only loss was to Boise State, which was 40-20. I think Boise State's looking like the Mountain West Conference class of 2022, as Boise State looks like they're not going to be losing anytime soon. I think they're back, unfortunately, and that's a big unfortunately for San Diego State fans, but it is what it is. So for San Diego State, it's basically gonna have to be the defense just stepping up. Regardless of who the quarterback is, the defense has to step up, and the offense has to basically do their thing as well. They can't basically rely on the special teams and defense of their own to basically carry them to victory. My good buddy Cale Henderson, who is the host of Sin City Sports, he thinks that the San Diego State might be in rebuild mode, and I think that might be the case, just because you don't have that flashy quarterback that you had when you back when they had last year with Jordan Brookshire. And then, obviously, it's just a whole new personnel and basically just doing the whole same thing over and over and over again. I kind of feel that is the case, but I wouldn't want to hit this team is rebuilding button just yet. So for San Diego State, after they played Fresno State, they have UNLV at home. Then they're at home against San Jose State the following week. And then after that, they have a Friday game at New Mexico. And then they close out the season at home against Air Force. So after this away game for Fresno State, San Diego State gets to return to Snapdragon Stadium for the next 3 out of 4 weeks remaining on their schedule, as this is their chance to actually win the Mountain West Western Division. If they do so, it would basically be the brightest spot of their season, as they basically would get another crack at possibly facing Boise State. To do so, they'll have to run the table, and Fresno State is a very good opponent. I still have the Aztecs winning, and I'm basically going to choose my bread and butter score for San Diego State going forward, as it's good. I have them winning 17-14. I think it's going to be another ugly defensive game. Hopefully, San Diego State's defense comes to play like they did last week against Nevada and then the week before against Hawaii. But overall, this is kind of the big-time game. This is the rivalry game. This is the battle for the oil can. San Diego State has to come up big. I don't want to hear any more excuses. You have your new quarterback in Jalen Maiden. You have your defense, which is playing solid as of late. Now it's time for you to actually put the whole darn package together, just because if you don't win this one, I don't think San Diego State can get to the Mountain West Conference Championship, just because with 2 losses, you still have to go through San Jose State. UNLV has improved. Air Force is still somewhat of an anomaly. So overall, your margin of error is now 0. You can't afford any more losses going forward. So make us proud, San Diego State. Make us proud. So elsewhere in the world of college football, we got to go through the FCS, as San Diego returns to action as they play St. Thomas after they had another bye. Keep in mind their game against Stetson was canceled due to Hurricane Ian, but they play St. Thomas of Minnesota on Saturday, and St. Thomas is going to be tough. They're 6-1, and it's going to be a tricky matchup. It's at St. Thomas, so I hope San Diego can adapt to the new time zone, and basically they can adapt to the surroundings at St. Thomas. So it'll be tough for them to win, but if they do pull off that win, it would be a huge victory for the Toreros. So there's that. And then as for Cal Poly, this season just continues to be absolutely a complete gong show for them, as they lost to Eastern Washington 17-10. I need to actually get this shout-out out of the way. I meant to give a shout-out to to a player on Idaho State, and he actually hails from Southern California, as I definitely do need to give a shout-out to, can we get a drum roll, please? Calvin Pitcher, the former Corona Centennial standout from Idaho State, as he actually recovered a fumble, as it looks like Raiden Hunter forced the fumble, or Xavier Gilori forced the fumble, and Pitcher was able to recover it. Either way, it was quite fun to see Calvin Pitcher, a SoCal product, giving his team a boost, just because it's nice to see that the Southern California products are actually doing well. And I promised Calvin Pitcher, well, I didn't promise him in general, but I promised Idaho State that I would give Calvin Pitcher a shout-out if he appeared on the box score or if his team won, and surely enough, he was able to do so. So it's good. It's a good job just because that actually is Idaho State's first win of the season, and it's great to see that they finally got that first win. Not great to see for Cal Poly, just because Cal Poly is now in the midst of a downward spiral, and yeah, it's not good times, unfortunately, for Cal Poly. They put up 31 points and they still lost. Last week against Eastern Washington, they were actually tied 10-10 at halftime, and then unfortunately Cal Poly's defense broke as they allowed this 20-yard touchdown pass, which eventually wound up sealing their fate. I don't even want to look at the entire box score. It just looks ugly from a stance. So Cal Poly heads up to Davis to take on UC Davis in a Big West, not a Big West conference, Big Sky conference, as the two face each other this Saturday. Cal Poly is not the bottom of the barrel when it comes to this conference, and this is sickening, if you ask me, as they play their supposed Big West conference rival, UC Davis. I will be quite interested to see how this one goes, but I already feel UC Davis is going to win this one. UC Davis took South Dakota State. What was it? South Dakota State? It was one of the Dakota states down to the wire, and they hung tough against Cal, except not really. They lost by 3 scores. Yeah, they took South Dakota State down to the wire, and they're not having the greatest season that they want, but it's surely better than Cal Poly's season. So I imagine Cal Poly is probably going to lose that one. I don't think there's going to be another game Cal Poly wins unless they beat Portland State. So overall, it's going to be tough sledding for Cal Poly the rest of the season, and it's unfortunate. It's kind of the whole circle of life thing. One year you have a decent year, and then the other year you're basically in rebuild mode. It's basically how all programs function. That's basically that for Cal Poly and for the college football portion of the show. We're actually going to take a quick little commercial break, give my voice a little bit of time to recover. When we come back, we got some MLB to discuss, some NWSL, some MLS, and we have the Dum Dum of the Week. So keep it locked here. You are listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Some say that Indiana is just a flyover state. Flatlands and cornfields, barns and country roads. What if I told you Indiana is the crossroads of America? What if I told you in all other states, basketball is just basketball? In Indiana, basketball is life. Crowded high school basketball gyms on a Friday night, and every barn with a basketball rim and a frayed, worn-out net. If you're interested in the heartbeat of America, and if you're interested in sports, if you have Hoosier running through your veins. The Crossroads Pod with Aaron X is made for you. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Each and every week, the Crossroad Pod covers all of Indiana sports. The pride of the horseshoe of the Indianapolis Colts. The blue-collar gold swagger of the Indiana Pacers. The relentless pursuit of the sixth banner for the Indiana Hoosiers. The swing of the hammer of the Purdue Boilermakers. The swoop of the Cardinals of Ball State. The summoning of the echoes of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. The growl of the Bulldogs of Butler. The intensity of an Indiana fever. The chop of the Indianapolis Indians. At the Crossroads Pod, if it is Indiana, we've got you covered. More than cornfields. More than country back roads. The Crossroads of America. Join me, Aaron X, every week. It's nothing but net.
College football, and do you want to hear a college football show dedicated to all that is college football, including junior college and the CCCAA and the NJCAA, the NAIA, and the NCAA, including Division III, Division II, Division I AA in the FCS, and Division I Single A in the FBS? Well then look no further. Join myself, Larry B., and my colleagues, Mr. H-Town Blake Henley, and Mr. Christian Espinoza, each week during the college football season for the latest in college football on 3 and Out College Edition, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Back with segment number 2 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely check out all of our amazing shows, such as Let's Whine About DMV Sports with Mike Pat, the Crossroads Pod, which will be coming on tomorrow at 8 a.m. Pacific Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Time with Aaron X, and also 3 and Out College Edition with Larry B. and myself. Larry B. also is in the chat room. He says, Teran's the man. I appreciate you tuning in, Larry B. Definitely check out all of his amazing shows, such as 3 and Out, the Sports Couple Perspective with him and Cecilia, and The Defining Moment. So definitely do check out all of our shows on IE Sports Radio. Without any further delay, let's get on into the second half of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. And I guess this would be a good time to segue into a little high school football. I'm not going to go over everything, just because that would basically take up more than an hour. But the playoff brackets will be released on Sunday morning, and obviously Mater Dei is going to be the number 1 seed unless they somehow lose to Servite. But Servite is not having a great year. I'm going to save the Servite portion for tomorrow's for the SoCal Supreme, or not SoCal Supreme Sports Show, 3 and Out College Edition. I really have to discuss Servite with Larry B. I don't know if he's heard, but it's probably something he needs to know about this. But I guess this does need to be put out there, as Bruce Rawlinson, the Mater Dei football coach, he has a chance to surpass Bob Johnson for Orange County victories if Mater Dei wins tonight against Servite. But with how rebuilding and how not so good Servite is this season, and with how good Mater Dei is, having knocked off St. John Bosco, Bishop Gorman, and a bunch of other schools, I think Mater Dei pretty much is a lock for beating Servite tonight. It's nothing against Servite, but Servite lost so much to graduation. Their only win was a 10-7 win over La Mirada. So for Servite, it's one of those forgettable seasons after they made it to the Southern Section Finals last season. But overall, that's a little bit of a gist of high school football. Bruce Rollinson obviously has done it big and whatnot for modern day, so there's that right there. Jumping on over to some MLB action. So the Padres sadly saw their season come to an end as they fell to the Philadelphia Phillies in 5 games. Last I checked, when we did this show, which was last Thursday, they unfortunately just could not keep up with the Phillies as they lost 4-2 last Friday, and then last Saturday they lost 10-6, and then this past Sunday they lost 4-3, which was unfortunate just because the Phillies came alive in that 8th inning in game number 5, and that was basically game blouses as the Phillies just eventually stole the momentum from San Diego, and that was pretty much that. That 5th game was basically the closing curtain for the Padres. So while I am sad that the Padres season is over, they really proved a lot this year. They had so much adversity. I can only imagine the season with Fernando Tatis Jr. I can imagine if Juan Soto wasn't struggling a whole lot, but you gotta like this Padres team. This Padres team was special this season. It didn't show in their record, but the fact that they knocked off the Mets in the wild card round and the Dodgers in the divisional round speaks to high volumes of how the Padres are just absolutely... They had a special season. They represented Southern California well. I was very impressed by the Padres this season, and I'm glad they made the playoffs, but unfortunately they just ran into a red-hot Phillies team, which gets to play the Houston Astros, the best team in the American League. So, obviously, congratulations to Philly, and good luck against those cheating Astros. So, for the Phillies, good luck the rest of the way. For the Padres, keep your heads up. Once you get Fernando Tatis Jr. back, and once you develop more of your hitters, then you're going to be something special to watch for. And I hope Juan Soto does fully adapt with with the Padres, just because it would be something great. He obviously struggled after he came over from Washington, but now he's eventually going to be something. He's going to be promising once he has a full season with San Diego. That is basically going to close the book on the MLB portion of the show. It's finally done. I'm a little sentimental over this, but the MLB portion is done, and we won't get to see it until probably February. And I won't bother going over spring training and whatnot. Probably once the season begins in March. Yeah, that'll probably be the last time we'll see the MLB until then, but thank you to the Dodgers and the Padres for unforgettable seasons. Well, the Dodgers season in the postseason was practically forgettable. The Padres season was the most special. So thank you to the Padres for a lifelong trip of memories and memes and whatnot. But unfortunately, you just could not get the job done. But I'm so proud of y'all. I'm not going to cry, don't worry. So that's basically that for the MLB portion of the show. Jumping to the NWSL. If there was anything more heartbreaking than seeing the Padres lose, it was the NWSL playoffs where the Wave FC sadly lost to the Portland Thorns as they lost 2-1. Keep in mind, this was the third meeting between these two teams. The first meeting was the infamous no VAR or instant replay game where San Diego had a goal not called, which was absolutely sickening. I already went on that rant. I don't need to go on it again. And the second meeting saw San Diego win at Portland 2-0. This meeting, however, San Diego's magic ran out as they lost 2-1. They got the first goal courtesy of Taylor Korniak in the 8th minute, but then Raquel Rodriguez scored in the 20th minute, and then Crystal Dunn scored the nail-in-the-coffin goal 3 minutes past the full 90 minutes. And that was basically that for San Diego. It was so heartbreaking, especially since their goalkeeper got beat on that play. If they don't get that, if they prevent that goal, then anything could happen in the next 15 minutes, especially when they have Alex Morgan. But unfortunately, that is the end of San Diego Wave FC's season. However, they got quite a bit of postseason awards. They got a lot of awards this season, which I was very impressed. So I don't remember the entirety of their awards, but they did. One of their players did get Rookie of the Year, which was Naomi Girma. So that's something to watch for. So Naomi Girma getting NWSL Rookie of the Year, that's awesome. So hats off to her. And the scary part is that she's only getting better. So I can't wait to see what she develops into, as well as the entirety of Wave FC. Like, Wave FC is basically going to grow, as this was only their first year. Keep in mind they were an expansion team, but they're more of an expansion team. They're basically hope for the city of San Diego, just because San Diego doesn't have too many sports. All they had was pretty much the Padres, and then the San Diego Gulls, and then the San Diego. They had a couple. I think they had an indoor lacrosse team as their as another sport in San Diego. But this is basically hope for San Diego, as in addition to Naomi getting the Rookie of the Year, Casey Stoney was named the NWSL Coach of the Year, so golly. And in addition to that, Kaylin Sheridan was named the Goalkeeper of the Year. Now, I'm pretty sure she would rather have her team in the NWSL Finals than have Goalkeeper of the Year. And I feel that would be the case for her as well, just because if she were Goalkeeper of the Year, she, in her mind, probably thinks she would have stopped that goal in the 93rd minute. But unfortunately, she didn't. But it's amazing that she was able to get Goalkeeper of the Year. And it's also amazing that in their first year, Casey Stoney was named Coach of the Year. So this really goes to show that Wave FC is going to be something special in the near future. And I really am excited for Wave FC's future. I really think they're going to be something to. It's going to be something to watch for. And Alex Morgan finished as a finalist for the MVP. It would have been great to see them pull off the win, but I really would have liked to see this team in the final. Give San Diego something more to cheer about, as everyone and their moms were basically hyping up last weekend as the biggest weekend for all San Diego sports. Also should mention that the University of San Diego women's volleyball team beat BYU, but that was kind of the only good thing in San Diego. Everything else was kind of muy malo. But back to San Diego Wave FC. I'm very proud of this team. I really hope this team has something special. A few quotes coming from some of the players. Naomi Girma says, "It's fuel for us. The sky's the limit for this group." And then Taylor Korniak says, "I think we're just getting started. We have something special. We have something so special here." And I agree. I think Wave FC is going to be something really amazing. And then their head coach said, "So many emotions this evening, but the overriding one is immense pride. So proud of this incredible group. Devastated for them because they have worked so hard to deserve more. One thing's for sure, that this will make us stronger because this is just the start." And I totally agree. And then also Stoney says, "And finally to our San Diego Wave FC fans, you have been incredible all season. We are so proud to be a part of this community, and we look forward to your support again next season. This is just the start." And I hope this is just the start of something special as well. Because there was a time where Wave FC was in first place, and then they had that little slip and slide where they were just getting ties and losses, and then this really just makes me wonder, if this team had a bye, would they have beaten Portland a second time? Would they have beaten Portland, or would they have unfortunately fallen short? I mean, they did beat Portland at Portland, but a bye would have given them more rest, and it probably would have made them more prepared. Oh, okay, I wouldn't say more prepared, but I would say it would give them more strength playing at home as opposed to playing in Portland. But regardless, it was still a great first season, and this one loss does not define them as a team. This is a team that is going to be great in the coming years, and I hope they're able to keep their entire core. If they keep Alex Morgan, that would be clutch right there. But definitely keep their goalkeeper, definitely keep Naomi Girma, and definitely keep Coach Stoney around. Either way, Wave FC has a lot to be proud of, and I'm proud of them as well. I just wish they didn't lose the same weekend as the Padres did, and the Chargers did, and the Lakers did, and the Clippers did, and the Kings did. It was just a horrible Sunday last week again for SoCal Sports. But it's all good. So that's basically going to do it for the NWSL portion of the show. We won't have to deal with the NWSL until probably next season, which I don't even know when their season begins. I want to say it's March, where they basically had the group stage play, but I think the regular season begins in May. Either way, we have a lot to look forward to in terms of Wave FC, and I think this team is just getting started, and this is only the beginning. So that is that for Wave FC, the Wave FC portion of the show. I really don't want to have to rip the Band-Aid off when it comes to this next part, but we got to deal with the NBA. The Lakers and Clippers are back. Let's start with the Lakers. We got to start with the Lakers just because they're the only winless team. They're one of two winless teams in the NBA, the other being the Orlando Magic. But this past week, they lost to the Clippers 103-97. And then on Sunday, remember that bad Southern California sports day on Sunday? Lost to the Portland Trailblazers 106-104. The sad thing is that the Lakers led 90, I think it was 98-90. And then they conceded a late run, and they also gave Dame Lillard the go-ahead three-pointer, which put him up 2, and the Lakers belly flopped. And then this past Wednesday, they lost to the Denver Nuggets 110-99. They didn't even have Russell Westbrook, which everyone thought that not having Westbrook was going to be the solution, but now it's not the solution, as Nikola Jokic was still a thing for the Nuggets as well. And yeah, the Lakers are 0-4, and it's only the second time LeBron James has been 0-4, as the last time a LeBron James team was 0-4 was LeBron's rookie year back with the Cleveland Cavaliers. So it's definitely not definitely not fun times for the Lakers, as tonight they are in Minneapolis to take on Minnesota. Then they have the Denver Nuggets at Staples Center on Sunday. Jumping over to the month of February, next Thursday, they are at Indiana, and then next Saturday, they're at New Orleans, which is playing some darn good basketball right now. So that's pretty much that for the Lakers. There's nothing too happy to talk about if you're the Lakers. It's just sickening all around. It's terrible times for being a Lakers fan. Jumping on over to the Clippers. So the Clippers, like I said, they beat the Lakers 103-97. Good job to the Clippers. Then on Saturday, they narrowly escaped against the Sacramento Kings, winning 111-109. So yeah, that was quite the nail biter for the Clippers, as fortunately for them, Paul George had a 40-point game. If they don't get that 40-point game from Paul George, Clippers are losing that one. Yuck. Unfortunately, the bad day for SoCal Sports continued on Sunday as the Clippers got stomped on by the Suns, 112-95. But Phoenix is darn good. You look at that team, they have some darn good players. But then this past week, the Clippers got beat by the Thunder not once, but twice. They lost 108-94 this past Tuesday, and they lost 118-110 this past Thursday. So this Sunday, the Clippers head back home to take on the New Orleans Pelicans, which is going to be That's going to be tough. And then on Monday, the Clippers will remain home to take on the Houston Rockets, which should not be as tough. They also have the Rockets at Houston on Wednesday. And then next Friday, they are at San Antonio. And then I guess I should make note that the following Sunday, the Clippers are at home against Utah, which, if they win that one, then that would be nice. But for the Clippers, here's my thing. They've lost 3 in a row, but their problems aren't as big as the Lakers. Like, they're just getting Kawhi Leonard back, and they also didn't have Kawhi against I think one, if not both matchups against the Thunder. So for the Clippers, it's nothing. Their problems aren't too terrible. I understand it's also the start of the NBA season. It's only like 4 or 5 games in the season. And I know every team can figure it out eventually, but it's still rather concerning going forward for the Lakers at least. The Clippers could probably figure it out, especially with Kawhi Leonard back. But for the Lakers, it's basically going to be a long season. They can't shoot well from three-point land. It's just sickening, and honestly, this is probably the first time I'm not looking forward to the Lakers this season, just because I am a true blue NBA fan and a true blue Lakers fan, but for me, it's just looking like it's going to be a long season for the purple and gold, and I really, really, really don't want to have to deal with that. So, overall, for the Lakers, it's either they find a way to get rid of Westbrook, or it's going to be another long season where they're probably going to be kicking and screaming into a tank. I don't even know if they have a first-round pick this season, but overall for the Lakers, they have to find a way to get themselves together. Like, if they don't win a game before the Magic do, I think us Laker fans deserve to be frustrated. And most of it is on Rob Pelinka. Pelinka made so many terrible offseason moves, and the Lakers could have gotten rid of Westbrook, but unfortunately they chose not to, and they didn't choose to trade for Kyrie Irving. So, yeah, it's just bad overall for the Lakers, and I want the season to end, please. So that's that for the NBA portion of the show. Jumping over to the NHL portion, we all thought the Lakers losing woes were bad. The Anaheim Ducks decided to actually take it up a notch, as they've lost 5 in a row after they beat the Seattle Kraken in overtime. They lost to the New York Rangers on Monday, 6-4. Then this past Tuesday, they lost. Well, I guess I should also. No. So I'm actually on the wrong one. So this past Thursday, they lost to the Boston Bruins at Boston 2-1 in a shootout. Then on Sunday, they lost at Detroit 5-1. And then this past Wednesday, despite a strong start, they lost to the Tampa Bay Lightning 4-2. So it's been really tough sledding for the Ducks. And what's his name? Bob Murray was the one that killed the Anaheim Ducks, which, yeah, their goalie play is not good. I feel bad for Jonathan Gibson. I just don't think he has it anymore. And I hope to God the Ducks, if they have any draft picks, heaven forbid, they draft a young goalkeeper and then they develop him. But overall for the Ducks, it's just not good, dude. Like, it's just a complete nightmare. Thankfully, Trevor Zegras is the one that he's been the bright spot for the Ducks. But other than that, the Ducks have been a complete atrocity through 6 games. And I guess Troy Terry has been decent, has been great as of late as well. But overall, the Ducks have just been absolutely hideous this season, and it's looking like it's going to be a long season for them. So tonight, today actually, they are at Las Vegas as they play the Golden Knights. The worst part is that they lost at the Honda Center. I almost said Arrowhead Pond, but I'm not going to. They lost at the Honda Center this past Wednesday after their 5-game road trip, and then they lost to the Lightning, which was even worse. But now they are back home against the Golden Knights. They're on the road against the Golden Knights today, and then on Sunday they are back home against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Then jumping over to the first week of Monday, the Ducks are at San Jose, which they have to win that one. And then next Thursday they're at the Vancouver Canucks, and then this upcoming next Saturday they are at San Jose yet again. So I hope the Ducks enjoy playing on the road, but overall it's not looking too hot for the Ducks early on. So as for the Kings are a little bit more of a better story. So last Thursday they got stomped on by the Penguins 6-1. Then this past Saturday they fell to the Washington Capitals 4-3. This past Tuesday they beat the Tampa Bay Lightning 4-2, which I thought was a pretty good win, honestly. But then yesterday, being Thursday, they lost to the Winnipeg Jets 6-4. So Saturday, the Kings are back home against the Toronto Maple Leafs. And then on Tuesday, they are hitting the road to take on the Dallas Stars. Thursday, they're at the Chicago Blackhawks. The next Saturday, they return to play the Florida Panthers. I almost said Carolina Panthers, but Florida Panthers. So unlike the Ducks, the Kings are winning. It's just that they're not doing too much of it, as they're 4-5, 4-5-0, 4 wins, 5 losses, 0 overtime losses. So for the Kings, they're at least showing some bright spots. The Ducks, I can't say too much good about, just because it's not looking all that great for them, and I'm concerned for the Ducks. Can they make a trade to get someone or something better, please? Just food for thought right there. So that's basically that for the NHL portion of the show. I know I had to skim through that, but there's nothing really happy to talk about in terms of the NHL, and especially with the Ducks. As a Ducks fan, I'm just sickened by how they have not really... They can't make the playoffs. Last year was their best chance to make the NHL playoffs, and then they collapsed, kind of like the Angels did. Jumping over to the MLS portion of the show, we actually had a bright spot last Thursday. Well, a bright and a not so bright spot, as last Thursday the LA Galaxy fell to LAFC in the quarterfinals 3-2, as it was surprisingly a very good game, as Dennis Buwanga scored the first goal for LAFC. Then Samuel Grandsir scored first for the Galaxy. So it was 1-1 through the first half. And then the 80th minute, Buwanga scored the second goal for LAFC. Then 5 minutes after, Dejan Hovlicic was able to score the equalizer for the Galaxy. So then, after 90 minutes, there was no winner decided. So it was basically 6+ minutes. I think they gave 6+ minutes to decide a winner, as this was basically full time. And I did not know that in full time, if in added minutes, it's not golden goal. So Christian Arango, who I think is vastly underrated, he scored 3 minutes after the 90 minutes. So after that, the game still was played. I don't know if that's for a playoff thing or if that's the new MLS thing. But Christian Arango scored in the 93rd minute, and then the Galaxy just could not find that golden goal to send it into penalty kicks, as LAFC won 3-2. So Christian Arango, he's definitely a big-time hero, as he now has LAFC into the Western Conference Finals. I have to give props to the Galaxy, though. That was a very, very, very incredible effort, and honestly, I tip my hat to them. They gave the LAFC all that they can handle. Unfortunately, LAFC is just so loaded. Like, it's not just Christian Arango or Dennis Bouanga. You also got to remember, they have Gareth Bale and they have Latif Blessing, and that's just the gist of their team. They got lots more on that team of theirs. But overall, LAFC is just so stacked, and the fact that the Galaxy took them to extra time, it speaks to high volumes of how good the Galaxy was playing up until then. Like, remember, this is a Galaxy team that seems to collapse in the second half, and it looked like they were going down that path right away, but then they steered the ship correctly. They managed to get a home playoff game, won that home playoff game against Nashville, and then they eventually managed to give LAFC a true battle, and that's the true beauty of El Tráfico, especially in the playoffs. Like, anything can happen, and the Galaxy really proved themselves, and I hope the Galaxy can continue to have winning. Well, not like winning ways like this, but I hope they're able to take it above and beyond. Like, that's the bad thing about some of their losing ways. Unfortunately for them, they did have that losing slump where I think they went like 4 weeks without a win, and it eventually cost them points. And if they don't have that losing streak, they're maybe probably the 3 seed, and that would be the best case scenario for them because they avoid LAFC until the Western Conference Finals. Like, that's the best case scenario. Like, if you're trying to avoid the 1 seed, which has a bye in the first round, your best case scenario is getting either the 2, 3, 6, or 7 seed. If you are basically the 4 or the 5, even if you get past that round, you're basically up a creek without a paddle once you reach the second round. And once you reach LAFC, unless your team is vastly underrated just because your team wasn't at full strength and you're now at full strength, you're going to lose 9 times out of 10 to LAFC, especially with that loaded team. Like, my God. So, once again, hats off to the LA Galaxy on a fantastic season. For LAFC, their season continues on Sunday when they host Austin FC at the Bank of California Stadium at noon Pacific time. So, for LAFC, I want to say they've split a couple of their games against Austin. I'm trying to find a few of their games against Austin this season. They lost the first meeting 2-1, which was not fun times. And then they lost the second meeting 4-1. So this is actually kind of interesting. So LAFC has lost both meetings to Austin, but they play them a third time. I hope for LAFC's sake they actually put it all together, just because this is their best chance to win the MLS Cup. If they can't win the MLS Cup with all this talent on their team, it's a dud right there. They cannot lose with all the talent they have on their team. Otherwise, they're going to be hearing it from Galaxy fans. They're going to be hearing it from every MLS fan. And it's like, with all that talent on their team, you just can't lose, dude. You can't lose. I know Austin FC is a great story. This is their second year in the MLS. They're the number 2 seed, and they've really turned it around. However, this is LAFC's time to shine. Like, you have to win this season, otherwise you're going to forever be little brother to LA Galaxy. I'm just saying, y'all. And then also on the Eastern Conference side of things, Philadelphia plays New York City FC. So New York City FC is probably the hotter team because they've won quite a number of games this as of late. I kind of wish the LAFC Austin matchup was going to be televised on FS1 instead of ABC. I don't think I get ABC, but regardless, I'm looking forward to what LAFC has to offer. It is tough to beat a team 3 times in one season, and I think LAFC is going to bring it this time around. I really hope for their sake they bring it, just because if they don't, well, it's going to be another dud season for LAFC. It's going to kind of remind me of 2019, where LAFC beat the LA Galaxy in the second round, and then they wound up losing to the Seattle Sounders, which I think wound up winning it all. But overall, yeah, I hope LAFC is able to actually put it all together, because if they can't win, then they might not ever get a chance to win again. Unless, of course, they keep all the players and they basically just don't destroy anything. So that is pretty much that for the MLS portion of the show. Do us proud, LAFC. You narrowly escaped against the LA Galaxy. SoCal is in your hands. If you find a way to lose, I'm about to roast y'all next week. Actually, no, I won't be here next week, but you get what I mean. So before we head on out of here, that's basically it for the MLS portion of the show. Before we head on out of here, we have to give out the Dum Dum of the Week award. So the Dum Dum of the Week award basically goes out to someone or something that does something dumb. It could be anyone that gets this award. No one is safe from this award. And remember how basically I said that one guy... Sorry. Remember how I said that one person who sang the San Diego Padres song? Well, not like the rap. I think I gotta give him that award that award as well. As I'm trying to pull up the video. Here it is. Everyone, I need to reintroduce you all to this song. So, whoever this guy is that sang this Padres song when it came to the the NLCS series, I got to reintroduce you all to this. Oh, I guess that's not it.
Really going down.
There it is. Sorry, y'all. Technical difficulties, but here is the Padres song from this one fan that basically, said that's what's in.
Billy going down to yellow and brown. That's what's in. Slow down. Padres on the loose. Let's go, Goose. That's what's in. Bryce gonna lose, and Manny's gonna cruise. That's what's in. Give Philly no slack, and send them back. That's what's in.
Yeah, it's funny yet cringeworthy at the same time. Like, I really, it's funny, because some were even saying Philly was gonna win that after that song was made. Well, it kind of happened. So, look, I'm not one to do this, but it just sounded so cringeworthy. I gave him the mini Dum Dum of the Week last week, but I gotta upgrade it to Dum Dum of the Week. So, unfortunately for this creative yet cringeworthy song, it is gonna have to be a Dum Dum of the Week for these guys that did the whole "That's What's In" song. But it just sounded so cringeworthy. Even Larry B didn't approve of it. So, for the people that did the whole "That's What's In" song for Padres versus Phillies, you gotta take the Dum Dum of the Week award fully this week.
So dumb. You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
So that's the first part of the Dum Dum of the Week. I actually forgot to mention, I have two Dum Dums of the Week. So, the second Dum Dum of the Week, okay, it's a little bit more, okay, I wouldn't say less concerning, but something I saw last Friday really sickened me to my core. So, I was basically bored, I was on Twitter, and then I saw a tweet from a hacked tweet, and this came from none other than Vince Scully. So, as we all know, Vince Scully has passed away. Rest in everlasting peace to Vince Scully. But for Vince Scully, unfortunately, unfortunately, someone got access to his account, and to my dismay, well, to everyone's dismay, that is a Dodgers fan and a blessed Vin Scully fan, someone decided to hack his account and post that little PS5 scam. Okay, first of all, I almost said it. Screw hackers. F hackers to an entirety. F hackers to an entirety. Screw that. First of all, why would you hack Vin Scully's account? I understand Vin Scully. I understand hackers don't have a life, but why would you do that and disrespect the privacy that is Vin Scully? I can't believe someone would do that. I don't know who hacked the account, but whoever you are, if you are somehow listening to this, bleep you. Bleep you. Bleep you so terribly. But unfortunately, it just made me sick to my core to see that Vin Scully's account was hacked. And I basically even tweeted this out on the Twitterverse. Did I delete it? Oops. I did tweet this out. I said, whoever hacked Vin Scully's account is Dum Dum of the Week. I was also going to give Dum Dum of the Week to Twitter, but then I understood the whole situation. So instead of giving Twitter Dum Dum of the Week, I'm giving whoever hacked Vin Scully's Twitter account Dum Dum of the Week. I think it's whoever hacked the account was unhacked, except not really, because the PlayStation link is in Vin Scully's Twitter bio. But whoever did hack Vin Scully's account, I am ashamed of you. I am sick to my core. I really want to curse so badly, but I'm not going to, just because that would involve me putting the explicit tag. But why are people hacking nowadays? Why? I swear, shouldn't a deceased Twitter person, or someone whose Twitter account, or someone who has passed away, be deceased, have their account disabled so no one, gets access to it? And if it happens to be a loved one, then they should have to reach out to Twitter support. But unfortunately, some moron hacked Vin Scully's account, and basically we got to see PS5 tweets. And please, Twitter, for the love of God, please get that PS5 campaign link out of Vin Scully's Twitter account. Please respect Vin Scully's privacy. I am sad that this had to happen. But enough about this. The rando person who hacked Vin Scully's Twitter account, I have no regrets doing this. You are this week's Dum Dum of the Week Award recipient.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
That might not even have been worth the Kawhi laugh, but to all you hackers, effing get a life. Please. Thank you, Marcus Losgreat, for popping in the chat room. He says salute. Unfortunately, that is going to do it for this week's episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. One more thing I did need to add is that San Diego State is making the bold move to playing Oklahoma, the Oklahoma Boomer Sooner, not once, not twice, but 3 times. Well, 3 years in a row. So next year they're gonna play Oklahoma. The year after, or they're gonna play at Oklahoma. The year after, they're going to play at home against Oklahoma. And then the year after, they're going to play back at Oklahoma. So, bold for San Diego State to do so, considering they're completely in shambles for the most part. But that's going to do it for this week's episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. It's that time, y'all, that I get on out of here, because I got to get me some grub, because I got the munchies. Yeah, dig? Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. I really do appreciate y'all tuning in. If you listen live, I appreciate you. If you listen at work, I appreciate you. If you listen on the playback, I appreciate you. If you listen live, if you listen at any time, any place, anywhere, I appreciate you. If you listen live at work, I definitely appreciate you. Shout out to Marcus Losgreat, who popped in the chat room. He says that's going to be easy work for Oklahoma when they play San Diego State. Unfortunately, yes, it is. Also, shout out to Larry B that popped in the chat room earlier on. I appreciate you. Next week, I will not be live with SoCal Supreme Sports Show, as I will be on a cruise next week, as I think I'll be going to Cabo San Lucas. So there will be no SoCal Supreme Sports Show. As much as I don't want to miss SoCal Supreme Sports Show, unfortunately, the cruise had to come up earlier. It had to come first. I didn't want to take this cruise, but it's all good. I'm sure I'll be back in 2 weeks. I promise. I won't be dead or anything of that sort. But until then, have yourself a great rest of the weekend. For everyone here at IE Sports Radio, this is Teran Rodriguez signing off. Enjoy the SoCal sports action. I know some of the teams are losing as of late, but it's all good. See you next time.